And if you're joining us on YouTube, this is our final segment. It's been a long podcast, but it's necessary.
Long 2 days.
It has been a long 2 days. This is about like over 2 hours of fast break podcast.
Not counting the stream for the 4-hour draft.
So that's been a long time. Dave,
lots of content. Hope you guys enjoyed it all.
Yeah, we're almost done, but this is the best time of the year. We're coming up on free agency too. Blake Griffin and Chris Paul just opted out too, so this is going to be fun times for the Fast Break Podcast. So subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a like, but let's talk about YouTube's favorite draft prospect, Dennis Smith Jr. He got picked up by the Dallas Mavericks, 9th overall. A guy that fell a little bit.
A little surprising, yeah.
The fact that Lauri Markkanen went above him was shocking.
Especially as a Bulls fan. That pains me.
Yeah, that Dennis Smith Jr. was still available. I thought he might have gone to New York over Frank, but still I understand why. Phil's into his international flair over there.
Yep.
So looking at Dennis Smith Jr. picking up at 9, I think this is probably the best spot for him to land, honestly, because you look at who he's paired with now, and Harrison Barnes was great in Dallas. We'll give him that. I mean,
it's hard to knock out that memory of him whiffing every single shot in the finals.
Him being awful in the finals, but he really had a really nice year. He had
definitely flew under the radar.
A really nice year. Seemed to grow as a scorer, both from the outside and inside. He looked like a good scorer, playing the 3 and 4. And then you also see Dirk. I mean, he's old man Dirk, but
Ageless
still
wonder. The shot's still silky smooth.
And he really started picking it up at the end of the year. I mean, you look at February, played 28 minutes per game, shot 42% from the field, 43 from 3. You look at March, 27 minutes, 46 from the field, 36 from 3, averaging 15 points per game, grabbing 7.6 boards. Dirk looked good. They picked up Nerlens for 2 second-rounders, which was a fantastic pick. You look at what he can run with Dennis Smith Jr., where you can have the horns coming up with Dirk popping out and Nerlens coming in, and then Dennis driving out, and I think that could be really helpful to his athleticism, attacking the bucket. I think he can have similar play to, I don't want to say Derrick Rose, but maybe Derrick Rose in a way.
Early on, I mean, and we know this is him coming off of an injury, of course, but still, it's just he has such an aggressive play style, and he's so physical early on in his career. I think he needs to learn how to fall a little bit better because obviously, like if you keep throwing your body around the basket the way he does, he's going to get injured again.
Yeah.
So he has to learn and curve that a little bit. But again, his drive to the basket is one of the most powerful, like decisive moves. And then again, solid passer, decent rebounder. He knows where to be around the ball. And there's a sense of basketball IQ there. So again, I think fit-wise, you have one of the best coaches in the league in Rick Carlisle, and I want to give all the credit to him because what he did last year with this roster was nothing short of a miracle.
I mean, the fact that you saw the pickup, and they had to tank, really. They started tanking because they were doing so well to go back down to end up at 9. But you saw Yogi Ferrell step up. You saw J.J. Barea. You saw Dirk Nowitzki. You saw Nerlens. You saw Harrison Barnes. You saw these players come together and really pick up as a decent NBA team.
Dorian Finley-Smith.
The guy out of Florida. I mean, he looked good too. I mean, there was a lot of potential on this team, and now you add Dennis Smith Jr. So looking at this team, also Wesley Matthews is on this team. Wesley Matthews, obviously we know him from Portland. He was fantastic there. I mean, there's
quality player.
There's a lot of different moving pieces here. Our buddy DeAndre Liggins, who I called Andrew Wiggins yesterday. There's a lot of players in this team that I think could move towards a playoff team this year. And that's weird saying for a team that was picking 9th in the lottery. But again, you saw the surge, and the biggest knock on Dennis Smith Jr. was his leadership. Can he be a leader? You saw him quit on his team in NC State. Godfrey was going through firing rumors. I mean, he ended up being fired, and that kind of hurt his play too. But Dennis Smith is in a perfect situation, I think, to learn. Because you look at, like you mentioned, Rick Carlisle, fantastic coach, Dirk, a savvy veteran, Nerlens, who's been around a little bit, Harrison Barnes, who's dealt with some shit, obviously.
J.J. Barea. I mean,
J.J. Barea
dude is crafty as fuck. Perfect, crafty, older point guard who can play both 1 and 2, to be honest. But I think it's beautiful for him to learn under him and play off him. He doesn't come into this team having to be the guy like Lonzo does over in L.A. He comes to this team as, look, I know my fit. I know where I can really help you guys out. I can be an aggressive scorer. I can distribute the ball out. But this by no means is my team to take over.
And he could still be surrounded by shooting. He could still let his playmaking help because we still haven't mentioned Seth Curry. Devin Harris is still a good leader as well. So there's a lot of players that could help him grow as a leader. And Dallas still becoming that misfit, island of misfit toys. We saw it when they won the NBA championship. Bringing in Vince Carter, Sean Marion, Jason Kidd, all these
literally
players.
just grab free agency and be like, let's grab some names.
And they worked. And I think Dennis Smith can work with this team because, again, we see the aggressiveness. I think he's still going to be able to develop. This team's still fairly young. I mean, Dirk's obviously very old. JJ Barea is old. Devin Harris is old. But Wes isn't too old, and his game's still going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a three-point shooter. Nerlens very young. Harrison Barnes still growing as a player. So looking at this, does Dallas have something growing here? And can Dennis Smith Jr. be the focal point of a team?
I think going forward, yes. I think his first 2 years in this league are going to be really learning how to play as a team and for the team. Because, like you said, NC State, not only did he give up on his team, but there was tough times going on around the team. But at no point did you feel like he was there playing with the team. He was playing for himself. It was fairly selfish basketball. I think that's one of the remarks because as a point guard, you're supposed to get other people involved, and that was mostly a secondary. If he wasn't able to get his, he was going to look to move the ball. And I think coming into a team, like you said, with excellent veteran leadership, with an excellent head coach, like you're going to grow in those first 2 years. And that's where we're going to find out what kind of a player he really is. And this is a kid who we all think has, looking at this draft, probably, I know he's drafted 9, but as far as potential to be a star in this league, he's probably top 4.
I would say, top 5, top 4. I would say
he's
that
right there.
Markelle, Josh, and I'd say Dennis Smith Jr. have the superstar potential. Lonzo, too. I mean, kind of comparing the guards, we see the fit of Lonzo Ball, of being the facilitator, of being the passer, of being that instrument to his team. We see Markelle Fultz being kind of the jack of all trades. I look at, kind of at least Dennis Smith Jr. as the superstar of this, because Markelle Fultz might not get enough credit because he's playing next to Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid.
A lot of personality.
There's a lot of personality there, and he might not be able to shine through as much because he is a quieter kid. You look at Lonzo. Lonzo's playing in a market that's going to make him a star.
We're going to hear about Lonzo every day for the next decade.
Exactly. And Lonzo, I'm rooting for the kid, but we don't know if he's going to be able to stick through.
Right.
If Dennis Smith sticks it through and is able to rise up and become that superstar, he can be the biggest name out of this draft because he's, first off, in a great place in Dallas. Mark Cuban, Rick Carlisle, two fantastic.
And low-key media, too. That's the other thing. Like,
but
he's
still
not
a big market.
It's a larger market, but you don't hear about the Mavericks much.
Exactly.
It's always, you think Dallas, you think of Cuban, you think of Carlisle, and then you think Dirk. Not in that order necessarily, but like you don't really think they were competing for the 8th spot in the playoffs fairly late last year, and there was zero talk around the league about that because they're not a huge market. They're a team of a bunch of younger guys who, sort of D-League-ish quality around 2 excellent players. So
and if Dirk's not killing it, then why cover him?
Exactly.
Like, if Dirk's not
it's a team
up 33.
It's a team that you're not going to be under the magnifying glass. It's not like playing in New York. It's not like playing in LA. So that there is a huge benefit to not being under that pressure because that means early in your career you don't have to go off. Like I feel like that hurt D'Angelo Russell with his time in LA was being under a magnifying glass there, being under the shadow of all the greats. And for Dennis Smith, this is almost the ideal situation to walk into.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, a huge market in Dallas, but it's not a huge basketball market.
Correct.
And you obviously see the ability that the Cowboys have been able to take it from with Jerry Jones,
America's team.
And you still see these fan support in Dallas. I'm not saying the fans don't support him, but it's just something where Dennis Smith can really become that next line to Dirk. He can be that next superstar to come out of Dallas, and Dirk's been able to become a superstar. Yeah,
Dirk's international. Yeah,
it's helped because he's international, but also I mean everyone loves Dirk. I mean you
true.
You throw away a fadeaway jumper, you're thinking of Dirk.
Yeah, that little knee pop.
You're popping up that knee. Yeah. You're leaning back. You're hitting that shot. I have a Dirk jersey. I mean, there's the potential for him to be a superstar, and it's also because of the team around him. Because Nerlens, again, young, Harrison, young, West still has an aging game, and they still have future picks.
And they're potentially re-signing Yogi as well. I mean,
who could be a nice backup.
Yeah, another fantastic backup guard. So again, this is a team that they didn't go about this most conventional way, but this is a lot of credit due to their coaching and to their scouting.
They kind of
to be able to go this deep in undrafted free agents or second round pickups and put together a roster that works together.
They kind of stumble into a future, weirdly enough, because you look at Dallas.
There's different ways to do it.
You look at Dallas before last season. This team looked like they were going nowhere. It was Dirk and Harrison Barnes. They're like, what the fuck is this team doing?
Yeah.
Seth Curry was their starting shooting guard. And then you see Steph grow. And then you see Harrison Barnes grow as well. And you see Dirk still killing it out there. And then you see the trade for Nerlens. And then you see Yogi Ferrell. And then you remember that Rick Carlisle is still the coach. And you still remember that Mark Cuban's one of the most passionate owners in the league. And now they get Dennis Smith.
Yeah.
And it's something where they kind of stumbled into a future. I don't know if they stumbled in because I think they have a great, smart organization there. But still, you're like, how the hell did Dallas rebuild already?
Especially considering 2014, no draft. No pick for them. 2015, they took Justin Anderson, who is gone now. He's on the Sixers. 2016 was A.J. Hammond's.
Hammond's a second-round pick.
They have not been doing well at all in the last 3 years of the draft prior. So, to be honest, they pulled the rabbit out of the hat here, lucking a little into Dennis Smith Jr. falling into their lap. But what they put together from free agency and players other teams have thrown away or not given the time of day to, truly a special thing there.
That's the thing, is that this team will always constantly not be afraid to spend money. They're always in every single big free agent rumor.
They do. They try to throw their money around, but people don't give them the attention they possibly rightfully deserve.
They never get them, but they always end up getting someone in free agency. They always get someone that will help their team. And that's the thing, is if you don't see a big three, at least in Dallas, you see a big two. I see Nerlens and I see Dennis Smith Jr. And I'm just saying that because they're young.
Harrison Barnes?
Well, I'm saying there because they're young, but I keep forgetting about Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is still like 26, 25.
Yeah.
He was on his restricted free agent contract. I keep forgetting how young Harrison Barnes is. It just seems like the Warriors, they're all in their prime, but that's still something where you see Dennis Smith Jr., you see Harrison Barnes, you see Nerlens Noel, and their ability to surround this team.
Seth Curry becoming, the knockdown three-point shooter that, he knew he was. Obviously he will always be in the shadow of his brother.
When you're in
no
that
matter
family,
what you
though,
can
it's
do.
not like you can't shoot.
I know.
I mean, I bet you
their dog can probably shoot threes better than me.
Their dog can shoot better. Yeah, I mean, better than us. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, their mom could probably hit it from deep. I mean, it's just something where it's in his blood, and they realize that it's not that he's not living up to his brother. He's just not his brother.
Yeah.
He's just not that same player. He's not as quick. He's not as athletic as Steph is.
Yeah.
But he's still a good shooter. He's still a good basketball player.
Oh, absolutely.
The Currys are still smart basketball players. He still comes from a line and a lineage of their father Dell being in the league. And the Mavericks realize that yes, he's not going to be a fantastic knockdown shooter. He's not going to be a guy that's going to put up 20 points per game. But Dallas still realized that he had value. And that's something that Dallas realizes, that in a lot of free agents, that they still have value. And it's something that I think Dallas fans should be really pumped about, getting Dennis Smith Jr. because
one lottery pick in the last couple of years, and you've got a team that was on the edge of being, it was like playoff or lottery. You're right there, and you're like, you know what? We're gonna make the right move here. We're gonna go lottery. They end up with Dennis Smith Jr. And with that one lottery pick in the last couple of years, now we're looking at a really powerful lineup going for the future. Really bright lineup.
Technically, they did get 2 lottery picks with Nerlens.
Well, yeah, but they made a move for that.
They did make a move for that, but it was only for 2 second-rounders.
Exactly. Value.
They didn't have a second-rounder this year, but I don't think it hurt them that much.
It really just makes me go back and be like, what the fuck are the Magic doing?
No, that was the 76ers.
No, I'm saying the Magic, because you're a team who's been rebuilding through the lottery year after year after year after year after year.
The Magic are fucked. The Magic are fucked. I think that's actually a perfect way to end this podcast. So thank you so much for watching this podcast. Tell us what you think about Dennis Smith Jr.'s future in Dallas. Also, I gotta recap all this. Tell us what you think about the Jimmy Butler trade. We're still getting comments on that. People are not agreeing with us that the Bulls got screwed. They did. Tell us if KP has a future in New York. Can Lonzo Ball take the Lakers to the playoffs? No.
Thank you, LeVar.
Did the Celtics make a mistake selecting J-Tay? Do the Sacramento Kings have their core? And then does Markelle Fultz complete the process? But Dave, this has been a fun week covering the NBA draft with you. Ricky will be back next week. We'll be happy to have him back on. We miss our buddy.
Absolutely.
We love our little tinfoil hat, buddy. And it should be fun. Again, follow us on Twitter at MostValuablePod. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you so much. You guys are the true heroes. But anyways, for Dave Oster, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.